This is the ETBU Coaches Show. You know the drill. Mark T. Robinson here with head track and field coach Natalie Bach-Prather. And hope you guys had a fantastic spring break because we are back to work. And
Yes, we are.
Coach, we got back to work a little bit earlier than most others as we were in Memphis and taking part in the Rhodes Invitational. And your team did a fantastic job. A lot of top 5 finishes, lots of PRs. And as from a coaching perspective, as we were all out there taking part this past weekend, just could you talk about what you saw from your team from a coach's perspective?
Yeah, I was thrilled. I've been looking forward to the Rhodes meet all year. It was the first time we were there. A lot of big competition. I think there were over 25 schools or something representing, but a lot of competition, a lot of tough competition. And, we are now, I can definitely say, in the middle of our outdoor season. And to see the progress from indoor to outdoor has been really encouraging. But even from the last 2 weeks to this week, huge improvement. We've had PRs across the board. We're getting top 5 finishes. The mental state that we're in is really exciting because we're very, very focused. We're very close. They know what they need to do for conference and to get that to that national level, and so the excitement is really high. And you could tell in their performances yesterday. And so just watching how they performed, especially coming off of a week of spring break where half of them were on campus and didn't really get a break, was just really encouraging to see that we've got a mentally tough team. They have what it takes to get after it. So I was excited.
Absolutely. I was very excited as well. Just watching them perform, especially one of the things I wanted to talk about was actually Zach Biles in the pole vault. He turned in the first place finish, which didn't get a chance to realize that until after the meet was over.
Right.
Went back to look at the final results, but he performed very well in some very tough conditions because there was a lot of wind out there this weekend, and so it's difficult for pole vaulters to kind of go up against the wind trying to get over the vault there. But just kind of talk about what you saw from him and just how difficult is that to be able to perform in those types of conditions.
Yeah, we're all obviously always happy when we get a win. I think for him it was actually kind of a frustrating day because there were a lot of vaulters, but the wind was just so bad. We had such a strong headwind that you really, bless them, none of them could really accomplish anything. So always good for a win, like I said, but we're hoping that we can kind of get into the groove and, get some good luck these next couple weeks because we really need to be jumping at some higher heights to get to the level that we know he can get at and where he needs to be at. And so I think at that point, then he'll start getting excited about it. We've got some big goals ahead, and I think we'll reach them. But I was proud of him. He won on a tough day, so that's always good. Of course, he also did that after being part of our 4x1 relay, which I know we'll get to here in a minute. But yes. We added him to what I think is going to be our official relay team for the rest of the year. So
that is terrific, and yes, I almost forgot that he was the anchor in that 4x1. So. Definitely multi-talented athlete.
Definitely.
And did a fantastic job of keeping your men's 4x1 team in that top 5 hunt, which is fantastic. And it was very interesting too. I was talking to I believe it was Leo Brownfield, and he kept saying that they are very close to breaking their PR from last year, which is close to that 41-second area. So just kind of talk about the makeup of that team. Are they you believe as a coach supposed to take the 4x1 again this year like they did last year in the ASC Championship?
I think so. I think that we've got, we've been experimenting. We've been putting in different people at every single meet, but after what we saw this past weekend, especially bringing in Zach for that anchor, I think that we have the team chemistry that we need now. We got to work a little bit on handoffs, like the smoothness of that, but the speed I think is there.
Yes.
And I really think that we'll be able to take conference, but we've got some bigger goals there as well.
Yes.
We're hoping that if we can bring that time down a little bit, that we'll be able to represent ETBU at the D3 championships. Of course, we've got a lot of work to do up before then, but now that I think we're starting to figure out kind of where we need to be at, we know what we can work on now.
And speaking of the 4x1 team on the women's side, a school record of
Absolutely.
49.84. So
Yes.
you had a bit of a change there as well. Brooklyn Butler was actually your anchor, just as Zach Biles filled in to be the anchor in this last week. So just kind of talking about that dynamic. Has she solidified that spot in the 4x1, or are you gonna go back and kind of tweak some things?
Well, but she is an awesome athlete because
Yes.
she's got an amazing mindset, and she got thrown in there literally pretty much the day before, and so I got to give her credit. I mean, that girl worked hard. She's really hoping she isn't on that final team, but honestly, I think we've got another girl, Trinity Wilson, that I think is going to be our anchor, and I think may even be able to help bring that time a little bit. So we're still tweaking a few things. I really like what I saw. So, we don't know. I don't know. We've got some things in store for Brooklyn. So if we can replace her with someone as fast or faster, I would like to take her off that. But, if she ends up continuing to have that time, then yes, she will be on it.
Yes, and she actually also did a fantastic job in the 4x4, coming in first in that second heat, and just being able to kind of maintain and pick up the speed to bring your team through. So as you said, she has done a fantastic job with her time here at ETBU and this season as well. But you had a couple of sprinters in the 100 who, with starting with Tia Steen Baker getting the 12.66.
Man, that was amazing.
That was a top 10,
yes, that was amazing. School record. Tia's been great since the day she walked in this door, and she is just continuing to develop. And I don't even think we've seen the best from her yet. So I'm thrilled. She had an awesome day. Awesome day.
Absolutely, and I was looking at the men's side as well on the 100. Datavian Lewis had a sub-11 finish. Is that also a PR for him as well?
Yes, and something that I think that we'll be able to continue to bring down. And X was right there. Xavier Montgomery was right next to that 10-9. But man, Datavian also had an amazing day. We know it's in him. He knows it's in him.
Yes.
So we got to keep seeing that. And our sprinters are looking really good this year.
Absolutely. And last but certainly not least, Mac Broussard had another fantastic turnout. But here's the thing that was kind of, mind-boggling to me, just the fact that in the ASC Championships last season, he ran, I believe it was a 34 or so, and took home the championship. He comes here to Rhodes College, runs a 31, 49, and he ends up in third place, but it's a PR by more than 2 minutes. How do you kind of explain that?
I mean, Mac's a beast. I mean, what can you say?
Yes.
I mean, he crushed, last week his 5K with 15:15. He, 2 weeks ago or last week, he split a 1:59 on the 800, and then he comes out in the 10K. I mean, he's on fire right now. He is on fire. We are looking to continue to bring those times down for the 10 and the 5K, but conference day is going to be exciting by the time we get him rolling, because he's just barely begun. He took off most of December. He had a little bit of an injury coming off of cross, so he took most of December off. So we're just now getting back to where we were at the end of cross-country season. So that's exciting because we haven't even begun to see what he can do in these two races. And he fought hard. He fought really hard. I mean, that was a stacked field, a lot of guys that were rolling. And so if he gets in the right competition, he knows how to bring it out.
Absolutely. And I was actually talking to him after that race. Kind of his strategy is to kind of stay within that top 3, top 4 range throughout the run, but it's very difficult because you're running 25 laps.
It's a lot of circles.
Yes, ma'am, and he's able to kind of maintain that speed. And just as a runner, could you talk about how difficult that is and how much of how much mental strength you have to kind of be able to stay within the pack, but also pick up that speed when you need to kind of close out that race?
Oh, man. I mean, I would say it's probably the most mentally challenging meet out there, besides the 800, but the 800 is only 2 laps. The 10K is exhausting mentally. If you're on a pack like he was in that pack for that first half of that race, when those two guys kind of broke off a little bit, that's when it gets real, because then all of a sudden you're not just having to ride on someone's shoulder, you're having to work for it and figure out how to pace. But I mean, he was still pacing, he was still getting 75 per lap. We got 76 for a couple of those laps while he had to readjust mentally. But that's the one thing about him, is he is so mentally tough. And so he knows how to pull it out. But he was exhausted when he was done, because I think that's the hardest he's worked yet for a race.
Yes.
Because he was trying to keep that gap really close between that one and second person. And, I mean, he did a phenomenal job.
Yes, and one of the things that I also kind of took from that race is just great for him to run against a different type of competition. Obviously, with the two who ended up being first and second, respectively, definitely gave him a bit of a challenge there. Something for him to kind of look forward to as he closes out the season. So, and I believe we were also talking about national qualifying times for the 10K race, trying to get kind of a sub 30. Kind of close to that, so he's getting there as well. So that's going to be exciting.
He's getting close. Yep.
That is going to be very exciting going forward.
It is.
Yes, and you guys are going to Seguin this weekend, so
we are.
You're going to be back to full strength, so to speak. So
the whole team.
So what are your expectations there to kind of have the whole team back now?
Yeah, I'm excited, because now they know what everyone did this past weekend, and someone we didn't mention was Byron Mack and Anthony Gibson, who had phenomenal jumps.
Yes.
I mean, in the long jump, they got second and fourth and improved tremendously. And so to be able to take that from this week and to move forward, the TLU meet is going to be really exciting, because it's only D3 schools. I think they said they had like around 12 schools lined up, D3 schools. So I'm excited, because most of the schools in our conference will be there. Most of the big D3 competitors in Texas will be there. So just to kind of see where we compare to our division is going to be fun. We got a couple of stud athletes in that group that are going to push my athletes to greater. They're going to have to dig deep to get those times. But coming off of this week, I think it's going to be great. And, of course, we didn't take any throwers this past weekend just because we had a limited group that went. But I'm excited to see our throwers. Our throwers did really good at McNeese. And so I'm ready to just build on it. We're going to start throwing the javelin. So we'll add the javelin and the hammer to our shot and discus. And so just to be able to have everyone there and to be able to do everything, I'm excited to see how that will turn out.
And we'll definitely be keeping tabs on you guys. But we got to go back to Memphis, because we missed out on an opportunity. We said we were eating at the one and only barbecue, where we ran into head coach now, Penny Hardaway.
That was pretty cool.
Mike Miller as well.
Yes. Sitting right there in the middle of our restaurant.
To us. Absolutely.
I know.
And so missed out on the opportunity there. So got to make a trip back to Memphis.
I know. Absolutely. Absolutely. That was some good barbecue, too.
Yes.
Well earned by our athletes. So.
Absolutely. And, well, it was great having you once again, Coach Prather. We will definitely be keeping things up to date on you guys. Hopefully get a chance to travel with you guys again.
Yeah, thank you for coming with us.
Absolutely. And continue to keep up to date with everything that's going on with the team. You can follow the track and field team on GoETBUTigers.com or follow us on social media at GoETBUTigers. Once again, Mark T. Robinson with head coach Natalie Bach-Prather. We'll be back on the ETBU Coaches Show with more on the other side.